Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition right here on Thumb Coast TV. As Dennis, the regular season is starting to come to an end, but districts aren't that far around the corner. We can start to play district games as early as, I believe, this Friday, and we've got a lot of different teams to go through in different districts. So let's start in Division I, where the random draw, which, by the way, for context, every other sport essentially in the MHSAA will seed their district, whether they use MPR or what the football system uses. They will seed it, so you generally get best versus worst, and you have a chance for the top two teams to meet in the district finals. That's not the case in baseball and softball. It's random draw. So you'll get draws like this where, while I like PH and Northern, they should not be playing each other in round one when a very good Romeo and a very good Anchor Bay team have to play on the other side of the district. Now, it helps our local teams. It guarantees either Northern or High get a chance to play for a district title, but I can also be objective and say probably shouldn't have that draw as one of the two favorites are eliminated in the semis.
Yeah, and it puts the two local teams right off the hop. I'll use the Northern perspective. They're looking at it as going, we have beaten PH this year. We don't have to pitch Taylor Falls against the Red Hawks. We can assume that our second guy is going to get us through that game and save Falls for the winner of Anchor Bay Romeo. And that all of a sudden gives you the sneaky chance of stealing the district, as opposed to if you would have drawn Anchor Bay or Romeo, you've got to pitch Falls, and then if you win, you worry about that after the fact.
Well, and the other thing is Anchor Bay and Romeo have to throw their number ones. So if you can take out PH, who they beat 2 out of 3 times in the regular season, you take them out, now you have your ace going against whoever's number 2. Now, Anchor Bay, Ty Finkbeiner's their number 1, U of M commit. You know he's going to be playing against Romeo. He's going to be on the mound, so you're not going to have to see him. It's not that I think they will win the district, but it's as winnable of a path as possible for Northern.
Yeah, so it works. The draw system here works out to Northern's advantage and as a disadvantage to the two teams that are the favorite in the district.
Oh, I'd be crying bloody murder if I was at Anchor Bay or Romeo if those were one of the teams we were covering. Like, this district is a quintessential example of why there should be seeding, at least at the district level, because realistically, Anchor Bay and Romeo shouldn't have to play each other. They've had 2 really nice seasons. Northern and PH have struggled, but one of them is going to get a shot at a district title, and they'll get a chance to one game for a district championship. Yep. And I hope we're talking about an upset in a couple weeks. Let's go to Division II. The busiest district will be the one out in Richmond, where that one actually starts on Tuesday the 27th. Richmond and Marysville are in the opening pre-district round. Winner of that takes on Lutheran North on Saturday. In the bottom half, Armada and St. Clair. I do think this is another year where you can make the case that just about any team here can win this district, but as reluctant as I am to say it, I think Lutheran North is the favorite going into this.
Yeah, we're not happy about that, but again, you can make a case for anybody. I really like the way Richmond's playing baseball down the stretch. They made things interesting in the BWAC after kind of falling out of the race early in the season. They really got it together. This is a solid team, and they get to host the event. That makes them dangerous. Marysville, though, in a 1-game elimination. This is a team that's getting healthier. They haven't been as consistent as we've wanted them to be all year long, but this is still not a bad baseball team. And on any given day, they can get you. And with the game being early in the week, they're probably going to go with Wright. So Richmond's going to see their best. So that makes this an interesting game. And then the fact that Lutheran North is sitting there waiting for them on Saturday, and we'll get to scout them, and we'll get a good look at both these teams, and they will know that both these teams are probably going to throw their top pitchers on Tuesday. So advantage Lutheran North, but still, Richmond and Marysville are dangerous teams.
And when I say Lutheran North's the favorite, I don't mean that they are the overwhelming giant that nobody can knock off. But if I had to pick between these 5, I would hedge towards Lutheran North.
They've played the best baseball most consistently all year long.
Now, the bottom half, I think both these teams have the ceiling to win a district title, but it's been very up and down with Armada and St. Clair. Armada off to a roaring start. They sweep Richmond in the second BWAC series, and we look at them and go, they're the favorites. And then since then, there's something like 5-12 since that sweep, and I've been waiting to get something to get back behind Armada. St. Clair, they play in the MAC White, and they play tough competition. Trust me, I've seen them play Grosse Pointe North, Grosse Pointe South, Anchor Bay. I saw them in at least one game in all those series, and those teams aren't slouches. However, we've said that for 5 years now, and they still haven't been able to get through this district. Primarily, Richmond has been the bugaboo in the district finals. So St. Clair, while, yes, they have seen the tough competition, we're just kind of waiting for it to translate into success at the district for the district title. And they haven't been beaten up by Richmond. One was an extra inning game. Another one was a back and forth affair a few years ago. So they have the ability to win this district, very much so. I would not be shocked if we're sitting here in the first week of June talking about St. Clair's regional opponent. It's just kind of to the point where, all right, it's just time to do it for them.
Yeah, I think St. Clair got a good draw. Early in the season, this would have really intrigued me. Armada's an underdog going up against St. Clair, in my mind, just the way Armada's playing right now. The question with St. Clair is the bats. Will they hit enough to win the district? I think they will get good enough pitching to win the district. Will they score enough runs? And that's the thing. Armada can be tricky. They're probably going to throw Hill. Hill is not bad.
No, not at all.
And Hill can keep that game close. Who's going to score the run to win it?
Remember, this was the pre-district game last year,
Yes,
and Armada had them on the ropes.
Yeah, it was an extra inning game, and it was a great ball game.
So both these teams have the ability to win it. It's just their play through the season has been a little inconsistent. Just have to be good for one day.
Yeah.
And this should be a really fun one to match up with, again, because it could be so crazy in this district, you never know what's going to happen. A district they will meet up with is the one out at Yale. Emily City Yale is the early game. Croslex North Branch is the late game. I like how Emily City's improved. I don't think they're ready to win a district. Yale won this last year. Still pretty young, and I don't know if they're quite ready for that. And Croslex has had a very nice season. In fact, better than either of us thought before it started. But I have absolutely no reason not to pick North Branch the way they've been playing. They have, I believe it's been one doubleheader they were swept in against the top-ranked Standish Sterling team since the month of May has turned over. They have been playing awesome. They have 3 pitchers that they can go with in Jens, Hutchinson, and Jerome. And Jerome's kind of their number 3, which is crazy to think about. And they complement each other well. Jens is a crafty lefty. Jerome is a fireballer. Like, he's got some giddy up behind that fastball. And they all hit. They all hit there. And well, it's one game elimination, and if you go back a year ago, you'll hear me saying the exact same thing about how I thought North Branch was primed for a run, and then Yale spoiled the party. So this very well could happen again, and I could eat crow for the second straight year, but Dennis, the way North Branch is playing, I don't see how they don't win this district. I mean, it is possible because it's baseball. They're just playing so well at the time of recording.
Well, and that's the thing. Yale had Carolden last year. Nobody has a Carolden this year. Emily City, Yale, Croslex, you can make an argument of how well they've all played, but they don't have that guy. And North Branch is just going all cylinders right now. You can't put a fastball past any of their hitters, so if you don't have a good off speed or a curveball or something, they're going to hit the ball. They field well when they have to because their pitchers are a high volume strikeout. And they do it in different ways. Jens kind of pitches backwards and uses the breaking ball. Jerome throws flames, and Hutchinson can go either way. So they're really solid.
They are, but Croslex, again, had a nice year. Yale's hosting. I'm not going to completely discount them, but I have been sold on the Broncos. They've already clinched a BWAC title. On Tuesday of this week, they can win it outright with just one win over Armada or a single Algonac loss to Almont. So they're likely going to win an outright title, BWAC title. First time in school history they've claimed a BWAC title. To Division III, Algonac's district, usually it was Almont that was the big test that was going between them. It's a different orange and black team. It's Marine City. Now, Marine City, they've clinched the MAC Gold. Lamphere and Lakeshore have 2 games left. They're both a game back, or a game and a half back at this point. So if one sweeps, they share with Marine City. If they split, Marine City wins it outright, but Marine City gets a share of the title no matter what.
Fourth in a row.
Fourth in a row. Senior class went 4 for 4 with league titles. New Haven and Algonac's the early game. Marine City Clintondale is the second game. All to say, Algonac Marine City's the district title game.
Yeah, and again, this is a situation where both teams can hold back in game one.
Absolutely.
And throw who they feel is their top pitcher in the final.
Yes, while you can discount New Haven and Clintondale. Yeah, it's just you can't throw your number 3 JV pitcher, but you can probably get away with your number 2, maybe even your number 3 varsity pitcher. You're going to hit enough to win these games. And then a matchup that I really wish this was on Friday, because I'd like to see the Algonac Marine City District Final.
Yeah, that's an interesting game to me, because I think those teams are very similarly matched. The difference being, I think Marine City's strength is their hitting. Mm-hmm. And obviously Algonac's strength is their pitching, because they haven't been scoring a ton of runs. So that's a very intriguing matchup to me. I don't think there's a slam dunk winner, whereas in the past I would have said, sorry, Marine City, you've got a really good team, but they've got Kasner. They've got Simpson.
Well, and Simpson's been out. I don't know if he'll be back for the district. You hope he is, because he's a senior, but if he's not, Marine City's not going to shed any tears over it.
No, not at all.
Now, a team that got pushed out, Almont, they're sitting by themselves out in Clawson, which I don't know why Clawson's hosting this, because I guess someone had to, and it wasn't Almont, but they're the best team in this. Clawson, Foley, Madison Heights, Madison, Rochester, Lutheran, Northwest. This is as winnable of a district as Almont has had, and after having to be in the district during Algonac's greatest run in school history, yeah, it's probably nice to get an easy district.
Yeah, it's probably like a breath of fresh air, so don't mess it up, because every once in a while Foley is okay, and Madison occasionally is athletic.
They're good in the bronze.
Yeah, those teams shouldn't be a threat. Neither should Clawson. Really don't know much about Lutheran Northwest, but the words don't put shivers down my spine. So
Almont should win this district, and then I believe they'd match up with the winner of the Algonac district. So they could end up seeing the Muskrats, but with at least a trophy under their belt. Final one here, Mooney is going to win their district. They're going to win their regional, and the quarterfinal is probably the first time Mooney gets actually tested. No disrespect to Memphis, Dryden, Merritt, or K-Pac, but combined, I don't think they could beat Mooney.
Yeah.
Mooney is playing top-ranked teams in Division II and Division III in Liggett. Lutheran North, who we just mentioned, is a favorite in their D2 district. Divine Child, the Gabriel Richards of the world. I know I'm missing some others, but Notre Dame Prep, they played and beat.
Lumen Christi.
Lumen Christi is another team that's top-ranked in D3. They're going to get through this. I have never been more confident. They're winning this district.
Yes, I agree with you totally. What Mooney has been playing is a different animal than what they're now going to face, really, in the district and in the regional. They're going to be playing smaller schools, in some cases even smaller than they are, and Mooney's pretty damn small. But Mooney, they have too much depth. They have an abundance of pitching. Their hitting hasn't been consistent, but I think a lot of that has to do with the pitching that they faced this year. Now they're going to face not the same kind of pitching. I bet the bats get going.
Not even close. So that'll do it for the baseball side. Take a break, come back, look at the softball draws because they are a little different on the ladies' side of things. We'll do that when we come back here on the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition, right here on Thumb Coast TV.
From doctor's appointments to work, shopping, and dining adventures, Blue Water Area Transit buses are the lifeline of our community. Depend on us for a ride that connects you to life's essentials. Blue Water Area Transit. Ride the wave.
Riding the bus will avoid the hustle and save you lots of dough. Road rage, don't chance it. Ride Blue Water Transit everywhere you go.
Welcome back to the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition, right here on Thumb Coast TV. Brady Beedon, Dennis Stuckey. Let's talk about the ladies in softball, because just like baseball in Division I, Northern and PH match up against each other in a very tough district. Now, if this was seeded the way Northern's played this year, they might have gotten a top seed anyway, so this draw doesn't feel as, well, how should I say, unearned, I guess, or out of place. But they will play, PH and Northern will match up in the second game of the district. Meanwhile, the pre-district's Anchor Bay Dakota. A really good team is getting eliminated before they get to the meat of the tournament. Winner of that plays L'Anse Creuse North. And then in the finals, PH, could they upset Northern? Sure, but Northern's been having a renaissance year. They're 22-2-1 through their first 25 games. I expect them to get to the district final. And are they going to be a favorite if they play Dakota or Anchor Bay? No. But if they win, am I going to be shocked? Also no. I can very much see them winning this district.
Yeah, the best part about this for Northern is Anchor Bay and Dakota have to play each other right off the bat. So one of them's done before you even have to worry about the bulk of it. That's a pre-district game. It'll be done before you even go to your district. Mm-hmm. And that we talked about it on our podcast. If you had to go to that district and beat Anchor Bay and Dakota both in back-to-back games, that's tough. But now you're going to that district knowing that as long as you don't stumble in the game you're supposed to win over PH, you only have to beat one of those teams once to win the title, and that's if L'Anse Creuse North doesn't upset anybody.
Because L'Anse Creuse North, they're a middle team in the MAC White. They probably won't win, but again, it wouldn't be the most shocking thing if they did. And think about it from their perspective. To win a district title, let's just use Anchor Bay as an example. You have to beat Dakota, then you have to beat L'Anse Creuse North, then you have to beat Northern. That's not an easy stretch to go 3 for 3 in. And Northern, they're going to be playing with confidence because I don't see them losing too many more games down the stretch. They've continued to just wow. They've lost 2 games this year to one team. That's Romeo. And they probably should have beat Romeo the second time if you ask anyone at that game. So they can beat teams that are in this ballpark. They beat Chippewa Valley, who's in the red and I believe has a win over Dakota. They beat Marysville, who has a win over Anchor Bay. So they are at the dinner table with these teams. There is no reason why the Port Huron Northern Huskies can't go down to Anchor Bay and come back with a district title in the first time in a long time for them.
Yeah, this is a very good opportunity for them, and it's the first time in quite a while that we've looked at this district that Northern and PH go to and gone, hey, there's a reason to play these games. Mm-hmm. They actually have a chance.
And part of it is, we'll be honest, Anchor Bay and Dakota don't have that one dominant pitcher that it seems like over the last 5 years of doing this, that Gracie Maloney from Dakota is like, all right, is she going to strike out 12 or 15 in this game?
Or 20.
Right, and she's just going to be absolutely dominant. Or Anchor Bay's got someone. They're good teams, don't get me wrong. I mean, they're the 2 top teams in the red. That's nothing to sneeze at.
No.
But Northern very much can win that district. Now, we go to Division II, and you look at a district that is another prime example of why I would like seeding. Marysville and St. Clair, Dennis, while they're not state title favorites, if they made it to Michigan State, and in a month's time we're talking about one of those 2 teams winning a state title, I would not be shocked. They have to play each other in the first round of the district.
So one of them's out after 1 game.
And I understand, I am fine with, hey, it's geographical that you're going to play the teams in your area. But Yale and Croslex, while Yale's had a nice season and Croslex has struggled, they shouldn't be playing each other in the first round. We should at least get Marysville versus St. Clair for the trophy.
Yeah, agreed, but this is the way it goes. So it's one of those situations where, not to be disrespectful to the other two teams, but basically we're playing the championship game.
It's the second game.
The second game of the tournament. The Yale Croslex game will be fun because McMillan will make Croslex competitive in that game, and I like that young Yale team and what they've done. But I would be surprised if either one of those teams came out of that district. It's going to be the winner of the Marysville-St. Clair game, and that will be round 3, and that'll be a heavyweight fight.
And St. Clair took game 1 pretty convincingly 8-4. Marysville took game 2 pretty convincingly 4-0. I have no idea what we're going to see in game 3, but could Yale, they have a better chance than Croslex to knock off one of these two teams. Could they be competitive? Yeah, but I don't think that with the pedigree that these two teams have had the last couple of years, that they're going to be able to knock them off.
And also, again, whoever it is, Yale or Croslex, they're going to see tough pitching.
I guess the one way, if I have to pave a path for one of those two teams to win, they get to play first. So Marysville and St. Clair play the second game. They have an absolute knockdown, drag-out brawl of a game where emotions are high from the first pitch, and it's a emotional ending, and you catch them on a letdown, and you jump them early, and they're not able to scramble back in time. Maybe that's a way, but yeah, it's going to be Marysville or St. Clair.
I would be surprised if it wasn't.
Now, that breaks up the district out in Richmond because usually the district of death included Richmond and Armada.
Yep.
Well, since Marine City's now down in D3, they've kind of separated Richmond, Armada, Marysville, St. Clair, and some odd teams in the district. I guess Lutheran North and Armada being a matchup isn't that odd. Lutheran North shows up in the baseball district. But Notre Dame Prep coming up to play Richmond is a bit peculiar. Now, we were disrespectful to 2 teams in the last district. I'm going to be disrespectful to 3. Listen, I like Armada a lot. I think if you put them, there's 32 districts in the state. They could probably be competitive and win maybe half of them. This is not one of those because Richmond has been utterly dominant. Katie Shoeboy has been almost unhittable in BWAC play.
And she's owned Armada the last 2 years.
Exactly.
It's not a small sampling. This is 4 games. Maybe
5 because they played in the district, didn't they?
And maybe they don't have 10 hits in the 4 games, and that's a lineup that can hit.
So Richmond is just such an overwhelming favorite here. Lutheran North and Armada are good teams. Richmond's been elite this year, and they've gone and they've beaten some very, very tough teams along the way. Again, I like Armada a lot. I think they are a solid team. I just don't think they have the makeup, and not a lot of teams do, to beat Richmond. I would say Richmond is probably a favorite to make it to the Final Four again, just because Shoeboy has been so utterly dominant this year.
Yeah, Shoeboy makes the difference for them. And again, does their lineup strafe the ball? Are they scoring 10 runs a game? No, they're not that kind of a team, but they are a team that hits line drives. They can play small ball. They have occasional pop where they'll hit somebody will hit one out. They do enough, and Shoeboy does the rest. Her strikeout totals are insane, and again, they are the favorite to me as well.
Now, for Armada, win your first game and get another chance because can't beat Richmond if you don't beat Lutheran North. And yeah, you'd like another crack at it because you've seen her enough, and you'd hope at some point you'd figure it out a little bit to where, hey, give us a chance. Because, Dennis, we were sitting here a year ago saying, yeah, Marysville's pretty darn good, but Richmond's elite, and I don't see anyone beating Richmond in the district. And then St. Clair out of nowhere popped up and beat Richmond.
And it wasn't because of Shoeboy.
Exactly. So
She was dominant, but St. Clair found a way.
that's my point, is it's not unprecedented that Richmond can falter in the district. You're just going to have to get a good pitching outing, because you just mentioned Richmond isn't the best hitting team. They're good, but they're not this dominant team that puts up 13 runs a game. So they can have an off day where they have a low-scoring game. Heck, against Almont, they had to win a 1-0 game in league play. So it's been out there. And maybe you need a little help. Maybe you need someone to boot a ball. But guess what? There's a lot of times where runs are started because someone made an error. When Richmond won the state title in 2021, they probably shouldn't have won their district. They were down in the 6th inning, and someone dropped an infield pop-up, and then cutscene, they're beating Buchanan at Michigan State for a state title.
And it was a throwing error last year in the district that helped St. Clair score a big run. So,
hey, you don't complain when the breaks come your way, and for Armada, you have to be there, and you have to give yourself a chance for them to break your way. So go beat Lutheran North first, and then let the chips fall where they may against Richmond. Now, one more D2 district.
yeah, because with Marine City moving, it created a situation where we now have 3 districts to follow.
And again, some teams we don't usually talk about. Emily City's hosting. They play Ortonville Brandon in game 1. This is a team they beat this past weekend by 10.
Yeah,
so
12-2.
Yeah, so I'm fairly confident Emily City can get that win. Goodrich and North Branch. Now, Goodrich is solid. They're not as highly touted as they were last year, but they're in the, last I checked, they're in the honorable mention of the D2 statewide poll. North Branch has been a bit up and down. When they've been good, I saw both against Algonac. Game 1, they weren't very good, and the game was never in question. Game 2, they were pretty good, and they beat Algonac, a pretty darn good team. So I could see both Emily City or North Branch winning this district, because Emily City, as of recording, after a pitiful month of April, have won 8 of their last 11, and some of the talent we saw early on is starting to result in wins.
Well, we knew they were a better team than their record, and that something had to give. They just got off to a horrible start in league and couldn't really get it back on track. But now they're playing like I thought that they would play this year, and it's at the right time. And with North Branch, again, they're an interesting team. They were not on the radar last year, and they ended up going to the semifinal.
They were less on they had a terrible May. If you look back at the 15 games before the districts, I think they were 3-12 or 4-11. It was not a good run-up. It wasn't like Emily City is right now, where they were bad to start and then they got hot, so the record didn't look great. No, they were playing bad softball, and then they were able to flip the switch at the perfect time.
Yeah, and so they've been a little bit more consistent this year, a little bit better, and I don't think they'll go into this one intimidated. They have enough players who were there last year when they pulled off a big upset and won a game they weren't supposed to win, where everybody went, oh, wow, North Branch won that game. They won the regional. How did that happen?
So they rematch in the first game of the district, so I'm sure everyone from Goodrich remembers that one. But it being at Emily City, small nod in the favor of the Spartans.
Not a long way for them to go. That's probably their closest, certainly in league opponent. It's a place they're familiar with playing at. That'd be interesting. That would be fun if you could get an Emily City North Branch final, because it would be fun if we could send 3 teams from the area all to the same region.
Well, actually, that one would be a quarterfinal again that they'd match up with potentially St. Clair or Richmond.
Yeah.
So still like to see them win a district. The final one we'll talk about in D3, it's a 5-team district, but it's a 3-team district. So Marine City and Almont slot in one semifinal. That's going to be a good game. It's going to be a really good game. Yeah. Algonac is going to Mercy Clintondale, and then they're going to Mercy New Haven, and then they'll play the winner of Marine City Almont.
There is a good chance that Algonac will play 2 games in that district and have played less innings when we get to the championship game than the opponent that they're going to play against.
Because they're not going to the 4th inning against Clintondale, and I don't think they're
going to the 4th inning against New Haven.
Maybe, because New Haven at least plays in the blue, so they've played some decent competition and have been all right against them. But Point being, Algonac's going to be in the finals, and Marine City or Almont, whoever they play, is not going to be an easy out for them. This is the first, Almont and Algonac have been battling in this district since Richmond bumped back up to D2. Marine City, new to it, while Almont and Algonac are not an easy path compared to what they had to do the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah. It's not a smooth road, but it's not a pothole-infested, landmine-ridden road like it was last year. So it's got to feel like an easy Sunday drive for them comparatively.
The thing for the Mariners is going to be maturing quickly. This is a young bunch. So how do they handle the pressure? I think Almont's a little more seasoned. Algonac is definitely a little more seasoned. So, the nerves will play into it. Being in the bright lights and on the big stage, really, for a lot of the Marine City kids, it's the first time.
Absolutely. That'll do it for this week's episode of the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition. We'll take next week off. Everyone enjoy the Memorial Day, and then we'll be back the following Monday to talk about all these districts, who's still left, who has a chance to win a regional, and more. For Dennis Stuckey, I'm Brady Beedon. We'll see you in a couple weeks here on Thumb Coast TV.